When shall we three meet once more, in rainfall, lightning, or thunderstorm?
When the uproar and turmoil has died and done, when the battle's lost and won.
That will happen before the sundown.
Where to meet?
In the land of heath.
There to meet with Macbeth.
I'm on the way, Grey Malkin.
Baddock is calling.
Right away.
Fair is foul and foul is fair.
Hovers
through
through
the fog
fog
and
and
filthy
filthy air.
All that is good is all that is bad, as the witches say. A castle and forest is in Scotland where King Duncan resides. As a battle near his castle takes place to ward off Norwegian invaders, King Duncan visits a camp near forest.
Who might this man be? Bloody and wounded, I see. From his appearance he can report about the news of the revolt.
This is the sergeant who fought brave and hardy to keep me against my captivity. Hail, brave friend! Report to the king the battle's happenings as you left it.
For a while 'twas doubtful. You could not tell who would succeed. We were as even as though two swimmers cling on to each other, grasping for air, unable to move. The rebel, Macdonald, was supported by foot soldiers and horsemen from the Irish and the Western Isles of Cairns, as well with Lady Luck by his side smiling cruelly at his enemies as if she were the rebels' war. But all's too weak for brave Macbeth, while disdaining at luck, made his way through Macdonald from his navel to his jawbone and stuck his head onto our castle's walls.
O brave relative, what a worthy man!
Ah, but the same way that storms always come near us just as spring appears, our success against Macdonald created new problems for us. My king, as soon as we sent those Irish soldiers running for cover, the Norwegian king saw this chance to attack us with new troops and weapons.
Did this not frighten our captains, Macbeth and Banquo?
Yes, my king. This new challenge scared them as much as sparrows frighten eagles or rabbits frighten a lion. To say the truth, our captains fought with doubled force as though cannons were loaded with double ammunition. Except, maybe they meant to bathe in the enemy's blood or make battlefield into another Golgotha. I do not know, but I am faint. These wounds cry for help.
Your words, like your wounds, bring you honor. Take him to the surgeons. Who comes here?
The worthy Thane of Ross.
God save the king.
Where have you come from, worthy Thane?
Great king, I have come from Fife, where the Norwegian flag flies, mocking our country and frightening our people. Leading an enormous army and assisted by the disloyal Thane of Cawdor, the king of Norway began a bloody battle. But outfitted in his battle-weathered armor, Macbeth met the Norwegian attack shot for shot, as if he were the goddess of war's husband. Finally, he broke the enemy's spirit, and we were victorious.
Great happiness!
So now, Sweno, the Norwegian king, wants a treaty. We told him we would not even let him bury his men until he retreated to St. Colm's Inch and paid us $10,000.
Never again would the Thane of Cawdor betray me. Go announce his execution, and that his former title shall greet Macbeth.
I'll see it done.
What Thane of Cawdor hath lost, noble Macbeth hath won.
Where have you been, sister?
Killing swine.
And you, sister?
A sailor's wife had chestnuts in her lap, munched and munched and munched. Give me, I said. Begone away from me, witch, the fed woman cried. Her husband's gone to Aleppo, master of the ship named Tiger. But in the sea to there I'll sail, and like a rat without the tail. So him I'll do.
I'll give the wind to sail there.
How kind of you.
And I shall give some more.
I have control of all the other, along with the ports from which they blow, and every direction and sailor's compass in which they can go. I'll drain the life out of him. He shan't catch a wink of sleep, either at night or day. He shall live a man forbid, and waste away in agony for 81 weeks. Although I can't make his ship disappear, I can still make his journey drear. Looky what I have here.
Show me, show me.
Here I have a pilot's thumb, who drowned while home he tried to come.
A drum, a drum. Macbeth has come.
We
with sisters, hand in hand, swift travelers over the sea and land, dance around and around like so, 3 times to yours and 3 times to mine, and 3 times again to add up to 9. Enough, the charm is ready.
I have not seen a day so foul and fair the same.
How far supposed the forest? What are these, so withered and wild in their attire, that look like not inhabitants o' earth, and yet here on earth stand? Are you alive? Can you answer questions? You seem to understand me because each of you has put a gruesome finger to her skinny lips. You look like women, and yet your beards keep me from believing that you are so.
Speak, if you can. What are you?
All hail Macbeth, hail to thee, Thane of Glamis.
All hail Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor.
All hail Macbeth, that shalt be king hereafter.
Good sir, why did you look so startled and afraid of these fair things they're saying? Tell me honestly, are you mere illusions, or are you really what you seem to be? You've greeted my noble friend with honors and talk of a future so glorious that you made him speechless, but to me you speak not of. If you can see the future and say how things will turn out, speak, then, to me who do not beg your favors and is not afraid of your hatred.
Hail.
Hail. Hail.
Thou be lesser than Macbeth and be greater.
Not as happy Macbeth, yet much happier.
Thy descendants shall be kings, though thou be none. So all hail Macbeth and Banquo.
Banquo and Macbeth, all hail.
Say, tell me more. By my father Sinel's death, I know I am Thane of Glamis. But how am I of Cawdor? The Thane of Cawdor is alive, a rich and powerful man, and for me to be the king is completely impossible. No more than for me to be the Thane of Cawdor. Say, from where you owe this strange intelligence, or why you stop us upon this desolate heath with this prophetic greeting. Speak, I command you.
The earth hath bubbles, as the water has, and these creatures are of those bubbles. Where have they vanished?
Into thin air, and what seemed like bodies melting like breath in the wind. Wish they had stayed.
Were such things we speak of really were here? Or have we eaten a drug that takes the reason prisoner?
Your children shall be kings.
You shall be king.
And Thane of Cawdor too. Is that not what they said?
That is what they said. Who's here?
The king hath happily received the news of thy Macbeth's success, and when he hears thy story of ventures in the rebels' fight, he becomes so amazed it makes him speechless. Silenced with that, he was also shocked to learn that on the same day thou fought those rebels, thou'st also fought against the army of Norway, and that you were not the least bit afraid of death, even as thou killed everyone around thee. Messenger after messenger delivered news of thy bravery to the king, with praise for how you defended his country.
The king has sent us to give you his thanks and to bring you to him. Only thy real reward will not come from us.
And to give you a taste of what is in store for you, he told me to call you the Thane of Cawdor. So hail, Thane of Cawdor! The title now belongs to thee.
What? Can the devil speak true?
The Dane of Cawdor lives. Why do you dress me in what he has on?
The man who is Thane of Cawdor is still alive, but he's been sentenced to death, which he deserves so. I do not know whether he fought on Norway's side, or if he secretly aided the rebels, or if he fought with both of our enemies. But his treason, which has been proven, and to which he has confessed, means he's finished.
It's just like they said. Now I'm the Dane of Glamis and the Dane of Cawdor. And the best part of what they predicted is still to come. Thank you for the news. Do you not hope your children shall be kings? After all, the witches who said I was Thane of Cawdor promised them nothing.
If you trust what they say, you might be on your way to becoming king, as well as Thane of Cawdor. But this whole thing is strange. The agents of evil often tell us part of the truth in order to lead us to our destruction. They earn our trust by telling us the truth about little things, but then they betray us when it will damage us the most. Gentlemen, I'd like to have a word with you, please.
So far, the witches have told me two things that came true. So it seems like this will culminate in my becoming king. Thank you, gentlemen. This supernatural temptation does not seem like it can be a bad thing, but it can't be good either. If it's a bad thing, why was I promised a promotion that turned out to be true? Now I'm Thane of Cawdor, just like they said I would be. But if this is a good thing, why do I find myself thinking about murdering King Duncan? A thought so horrifying that it makes my hair stand on end, and my heart pound inside my chest. The dangers that actually threaten me here and now frighten me less than the horrible things I'm imagining. Even though it's just a fantasy so far, the mere thought of committing murder shakes me off so much that I hardly know who I am anymore. My ability to act is stifled by my thoughts and speculations. And the only things that matter to me are things that don't really exist.
Look at Macbeth. He's in a daze.
If fate wants me to be king, perhaps fate will just make it happen, and I will not have to do anything.
Macbeth is not used to his new titles. They are like new clothes. They do not fit until you break them in over time.
One way or another, what shall happen shall happen.
Good Macbeth. We're ready when you are.
I beg your pardon. I was distracted. Kind gentlemen, I won't forget the trouble you have taken for me whenever I think of this day. Let us go to the king. Think about what happened today. And when we've both had time to consider things, let us talk.
Very gladly.
Till then, we've said enough. Come, friends.
Has the former Thane been executed? Those in commission yet returned?
My liege, they have not come back yet. But I have spoken with the one that saw him die, who did report that very frankly he confessed his treasons, implored your highness' pardon, and set forth in deep repentance.
Macbeth appears with Banquo, Ross, and Angus by his side. Missing no beat, the king immediately started thanking Macbeth for his service upon the country, claiming that it had been impossible to reward him properly for his deeds. The king with shining eyes told Macbeth he owes him more than he could ever pay. Banquo himself was also graced with the king's golden opinions.
The service and loyalty I owe has its own rewards. By doing everything to protect you, we're only doing what we should for your love and honor.
Dear sire, if there I grow, then the harvest is your own. Anything I accomplish great will be dedicated to you.
My joy is so overwhelming, it brings tears to my eyes. Sons, kinsmen, thanes, and those who are the closest to me, I am here to inform you that I want you all to witness my bestowing of our kingdom. To my eldest son, Malcolm. Today, I name him the Prince of Cumberland. Of course, he shan't be alone in receiving honors, for the titles of nobility will shine like stars on all deservers. And now, let us go to your castle at Inverness, where I will become even more obliged to you and your hospitality.
I am not happy unless I can be working for you. I will go ahead and bring my wife the good news of your visit. I will humbly take my leave now.
My worthy Cawdor.
Despite being showered with bountiful compliments by the king, Macbeth is still devising a plan on how to overthrow the king's throne. He has ignored Duncan's kindness that he has so happily given Macbeth and only cared about seizing power.
The Prince of Cumberland. To become king myself, I need to step over him or give up, for he is in my way. Stars, hide your lights so no one can see the terrible desires that lay deep within me. In the end, I am still going to do that thing that I'd be horrified to see.
By the city in Scotland's northeast coast lies Macbeth's castle in Inverness. There resides his wife, waiting for his safe arrival from another one of his victorious battles. One unexpected morning, however, a letter arrived from her very husband himself. It read,
"The witches met me on the day of my victory, and I have learned that there is more to them than mortal knowledge. When I burned in desire to question them further, they made themselves air, into which they vanished. While I stood spellbound, messengers from the king arrived and greeted me as the Thane of Cawdor, which is precisely how the weird sisters had saluted me before calling me the future king. My dearest partner in greatness, I tell you this so you can rejoice with me in this news. Lay it to your heart. Farewell."
As any person would, Lady Macbeth was ecstatic with this news, but she worries for her husband. She wonders if he has what it takes to seize the crown. Lady Macbeth begins to argue with her thoughts. Macbeth wants to be powerful, but he is too afraid to grasp his opportunities.
I hope you hurry home so I can persuade you and talk you out of whatever's keeping you from going after the crown. After all, fate and witchcraft both seem to want you to be the king.
Just then, a servant enters and informs Lady Macbeth that the very King of Scotland is coming to their humble abode. And with this very piece of information, Lady Macbeth begins planning her scheme into seizing the throne as queen, and with her husband, Macbeth, as king.
Come, you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts. Make me less a woman and more like a man, and fill me head to toe with deadly cruelty. Thicken my blood and clog up my veins so I won't feel remorse, so that no human compassion can halt my evil plan.
Macbeth arrives home, and the two rejoice at the prophecy that was bestowed unto Macbeth today. Thane of Glamis, now the Thane of Cawdor, lastly, the future King of Scotland. The couple could not be happier, and tonight the king shall pay them a visit, a perfect opportunity for the Macbeths.
When is King Duncan leaving?
He plans to leave tomorrow.
That day will never come. Greet the king with a welcoming expression in your eyes, your hands and your words, but be like the snake that hides underneath the innocent flower. Let me handle tonight's preparations, because tonight will change every night and day for the rest of our lives.
The king, his sons, their attendants, and Banquo arrive at Macbeth's castle. They are greeted with pleasant air and the inviting breezes. Macbeth's castle was filled with these summer birds, the house martin, who only build their nest when the air is delicate and healthy.
All our service, dear king, every point twice done and then done double, is nothing compared to the honors you have brought to our family. We gladly welcome you as your guests.
Where is the Thane of Cawdor, Macbeth? We followed closely, but he rides swiftly, doesn't he? Fair and noble hostess, we are your guests tonight. Give me your hand, bring me to my host, Macbeth. I love him dearly, and shall continue my graces towards him. By your leave, hostess.
While their guests are dining on the table, Macbeth is in another room, thinking about his plan tonight. He is hesitant about committing violent crimes. Duncan has been such a humble leader, so void of corruption that his legacy will certainly speak for him when he dies. Macbeth simply cannot spur himself into action. The only thing motivating him was ambition, which he knows only makes people rush ahead of themselves towards disaster. But then Lady Macbeth enters, interrupting his thoughts.
He has almost finished dinner. Why did you leave the dining room? Don't you know he has asked for you?
We will proceed no further in this business. The king has just honored me, and I have earned golden opinions from all sorts of people. I want to enjoy these honors while the feeling is fresh.
Surprised by her husband's words, Lady Macbeth spent the time trying to convince Macbeth to end the king's life.
If you weren't a man, then what kind of animal were you when you first told me you wanted to do this? The time and place weren't right before. But you would have gone with murder anyhow. From now on, this is what I'll think of your love. Are you afraid to act the way you desire? Will you take the crown, or will you live as a coward? You're like the poor cat in the old story.
If we should fail,
We fail. We will not fail. When Duncan is asleep, the day's journey will definitely make him tired. We'll make his two servants go so drunk that they'll be dead to the world. What won't you and I be able to do to the unguarded Duncan? And whatever we do, we lay all the blame on the drunken servants.
once we have covered the two servants with blood and used their daggers to kill, won't people believe that they were the culprits?
We'll be grieving so loudly that they will not even bat an eye.
I am settled and bent up. I will exert every muscle in my body to commit this crime. Go now, and mock the time by being a friendly hostess. False face must hide what the false heart knows.
How goes the night, boy?
The moon is down. I have no heard the clock.
The moon sets at 12, right?
I think it's later than that, sir.
Here, take my sword. The heavens are being stingy with their light. Take this too. I'm tired and feeling heavy, but I can't sleep. Merciful powers, keep away the nightmares that plague me when I rest. Give me my sword. Who's there?
Oh, friend.
What, sir? Not yet at rest? The king's in bed. He's been in an unusually good mood and has granted many gifts to your household and servants. This diamond is a present from him to your wife for her boundless hospitality.
Because we were unprepared for the king's visit. We weren't able to entertain him as well as we would have wanted to.
Everything's okay. I had a dream last night about the three witches. At least part of what they said about you was true.
I don't think about them now, but when we have an hour to spare, we can talk more about it, if you're willing.
Whenever you like.
If you stick with me, when the time comes, there will be something in it for you.
I'll do whatever you say as long as I can do it with a clear conscience.
Rest easy in the meantime.
Thank you, sir. You do the same.
Go and tell your mistress to strike the bell when my drink is ready. Get yourself to bed. Is this a dagger I see before me? The handle toward my hand. Come, let me hold you. I don't have you, but I can still see you. Fateful apparition, isn't it possible to touch you as well as see you? Or are you nothing more than a dagger created by the mind, hallucination from my fevered brain? I can still see you, and you look as real as this other dagger that I'm pulling out now. You're leading me toward the place I was going already, and I was planning to use a weapon just like you. I can still see you, and I see blood splotches on your blade, and handle that weren't there before. There's no dagger here. It's the murder I'm about to do that's making me think I see one. Now half of the world is asleep, and being deceived by evil nightmares. Hard ground. Don't listen to the direction of my steps. I don't want you to echo back where I am and break the terrible stillness of this moment. A silence that is so appropriate for what I'm about to do. While I stay here talking, Duncan lives. The more I talk, the more my courage cools. I'm going now. The murder is as good as done. The bell is telling me to do it. Don't listen to the bell, Duncan, because it summons you either to heaven or to hell.
Lady Macbeth eagerly awaits Macbeth's return from the murder, as she reassures herself that she indeed drugged the guards' wine so that they will not wake up.
Who's there? What is it?
Oh no. I'm afraid the servants woke up and the murder didn't happen. For us to attempt murder and not succeed would ruin us. Listen to that. I put the servants' daggers where Macbeth would find them. He couldn't have missed them. If Duncan hadn't reminded me of my father when I saw him sleeping, I would have killed him myself. My husband.
I have done the deed. Did you hear a noise?
I heard the owl scream and the crickets cry. Didn't you say something?
When?
Just now.
As I came down.
Yes.
Listen. Who's sleeping in the second chamber?
Donalbain.
This is sorry sight.
That's a stupid thing to say.
One of the servants laughed in his sleep, and one cried, "Murder!" And they woke each other up. I stood and listened to them, but then they said their prayers and went back to sleep.
Malcolm and Donalbain are asleep in the same room.
One servant cried, "God bless us," and the other replied, "Amen," as if they had seen my bloody hands. Listening to their frightened voices, I couldn't reply, "Amen," when they said, "God bless us."
Don't think about it so much.
But why? Couldn't I say amen? I desperately needed God's blessing, but the word amen stuck in my throat.
We can't think that way about what we did. If we do, it'll drive us crazy.
I thought I heard a voice cry, "Sleep no more." Macbeth is murdering sleep. Innocent sleep. Sleep that soothes away all our worries. Sleep that puts each day to rest. Sleep that relieves the weary laborer and heals hurt minds. Sleep, the main course in life's feast, and the most nourishing.
What are you talking about?
The voice kept crying, "Sleep no more," to everyone in the house. Macbeth has murdered sleep, and therefore Macbeth will sleep no more.
Who said that? Why, my worthy lord? You let yourself become weak when you think about things in this cowardly way.
Lady Macbeth's gaze turned to Macbeth's bloody hands. Realizing he brought the guard's dagger with him rather than planting it at the scene of the crime, she urges Macbeth to return the dagger to the scene of the crime.
I can't go back. I'm afraid even to think about what I've done. I can't stand to look at it again.
Coward!
Macbeth, filled with fear, refuses to go back. Lady Macbeth decides to go on instead.
Where is that noise coming from? What's happening to me? That I'm frightened of every noise. Whose hands are these? Ha! They're plucking out my eyes. Will all the water in the ocean wash this blood from my hands? No. Instead, my hands will stain the sea's scarlet, turning the green waters red.
My hands are as red as yours, but I would be ashamed if my heart were as pale and weak. I hear someone knocking at the south entry. Let's go back to our bedroom. A little water will wash away the evidence of our guilt. It's so simple. You've lost your resolve. Listen, there's more knocking. Put on your nightgown, in case someone comes and sees that we're awake. Snap out of your daze.
Rather than have to think about my crime, I'd prefer to be completely unconscious.
Wake Duncan with your knocking. I wish you could.
This is a lot of knocking. Come to think of it, if a man were in charge of opening the gates of hell to let people in, he would have to turn the key a lot. Knock, knock, knock. Who's there? In the devil's name? Maybe it's a farmer who killed himself because grain was cheap. Oh, you're here just in time. I hope you brought some handkerchiefs. You're going to sweat a lot here. Knock, knock. Who's there in the other devil's name? Maybe it's some slick, two-faced conman who lied under oath. But he found out that you can't lie to God. And now he's going to hell for perjury. Come on in, conman. Knock, knock, knock. Who's there? Maybe it's an English tailor who liked to skimp on the fabric for people's clothes. But now, the tight pants are in fashion. He can't get away with it. Come on in, tailor. You can heat your iron up in here. Knock, knock. Never a moment of peace. Who are you? This place is too cold to be hell. I won't pretend to be the devil's porter anymore. I was going to let someone from every profession into hell. I'm coming. I'm coming. Please, don't forget to leave me a tip.
Did you go to bed so late, my friend, that you're having a hard time getting up now?
That's right, sir. We were drinking until 3 a.m. And drinking, sir, makes a man do 3 things.
What 3 things does drinking make a man do?
Drinking turns your nose red. It puts you to sleep. And it makes you urinate. Lust, it turns on, but also turns off. What I mean is, drinking stimulates desire, but hinders performance. Therefore, too much drink is like a con artist. When it comes to your sex drive, it sets you up for a fall. It gets you up, but then it keeps you from getting off. It persuades you and discourages you. It gives you an erection, but doesn't let you keep it. If you see what I'm saying, it makes you dream about erotic experiences, but then it leaves you asleep and needing to pee.
I believe drink did all of this to you last night.
It did, sir. It got me right in the throat. But I got even with drink. I was too strong for it. Although it weakened my legs and made me feel unsteady, I managed to vomit it out and laid it flat on the ground.
Is your master awake?
As the four exchange their morning greetings, Macduff looks for the king, wondering if he has awakened.
Not yet.
Macbeth offers Macduff help to lead the way to Duncan's chamber.
I know the burden of hosting him is both an honor and a trouble, but that doesn't mean it's not a trouble just the same.
The work we enjoy is not really work. This is the door.
I'll wake him, because that's my job.
Is the king leaving here today?
He is. He told us to arrange it.
The night has been chaotic. The wind blew down through the chimneys where we were sleeping, and people were saying they heard cries of grief in the air, strange screams of death, and terrible voices predicting catastrophes that will usher in a woeful new age. The owl made noise all night, and some people say that the earth shook as if it had a fever.
It was a rough night.
I'm too young to remember anything like it.
Oh, horror, horror, horror! This is beyond words and belief.
What's the matter?
The worst thing imaginable has happened. A murderer has broken into God's temple and stolen the life out of it.
What are you talking about? The life?
Do you mean the king?
Go into the bedroom and see for yourself. What's in there will make you freeze with horror. Don't ask me to talk about it. Go look and then do the talking yourselves.
Macduff tries to wake Banquo and Donalbain, Malcolm as they sound alarms which wake all the sleeping thanes and Lady Macbeth.
What's going on? Why is a terrifying trumpet calling together everyone who's sleeping in the house? Speak up and tell me.
Oh, gentle lady, my news isn't fit for your ears. If I repeated it to you, it would kill you as soon as you heard it.
How horrible! What? In our own house?
It would be a terrible event no matter where it happened. Dear Macduff, I beg you, tell us you were lying and say it isn't so.
If I had only died an hour before this event, I could say I had lived a blessed life. Because from this moment on, there is nothing worth living for. Everything is a sick joke. The graceful and renowned king is dead. The wine of life has been poured out, and only the dregs remain.
What's wrong?
You are, but you don't know it yet. The source from which your royal blood comes has been stopped.
Your royal father is murdered.
Who did it?
It seems that the guards who were supposed to be protecting his chamber did it. Their hands and faces were all covered with blood. So were their daggers, which we found on their pillows unwiped. They stared at us in confusion. No one's life should have been entrusted to them.
Macbeth explains that he had murdered the guards out of fury. Macduff questions why.
Is it possible to be wise, bewildered, calm, furious, loyal, and neutral all at once? Nobody can do that. The violent rage inspired by my love for Duncan caused me to act before I could think rationally, and tell myself to pause. There was Duncan, his white skin all splattered with his precious blood. Then right next to him, I saw the murderers, dripping with blood, their daggers rudely covered in gore. Who could have restrained him? Who loved Duncan and had the courage to act on it?
While Macbeth tries to explain his reasons, Lady Macbeth faints.
Help me out of here. Quickly.
Take care of the lady.
Why are we keeping quiet? The two of us have the most to say in this matter.
What are we gonna say here, where danger may be waiting to strike at us from anywhere? Let's get out of here. We haven't even begun to weep yet, but there will be time for that later.
And the time hasn't come yet for us to turn our deep grief into action.
Led by Banquo, the lords swear to investigate the murder.
Let's get dressed quickly, and then meet in the hall.
Fearing for their lives, Malcolm decides to go to England and Donalbain decides to go to Ireland.
I can remember the past 70 years pretty well, and in all that time I have seen a number of dreadful things. But last night's horrors makes everything that came before seem like a joke.
Ah, yes, old man. You can see the skies. They look like they're upset about what mankind has been doing. And they're threatening the earth with storms. The clock says it's daytime, but dark night is strangling the sun. Is it because night is so strong, or because day is so weak, that darkness covers the earth when it's supposed to be light?
It's unnatural, just like the murder that has been committed. Last Tuesday, a falcon was circling high in the sky, and it was caught and killed by an ordinary owl that usually goes after mice.
And something else strange happened. Duncan's horses, which are beautiful and swift and the best of their breed, suddenly turned wild and broke out of their stalls. Refusing to be obedient as usual, they acted like they were at war with mankind.
They say the horses ate each other.
I saw it with my own eyes. It was an amazing sight. Oh, here comes the good Macduff. How are things going now?
Can't you see for yourself?
Does anyone know who committed this horrible crime?
The servants Macbeth killed.
It's too bad he killed them. What good would it have done those men to kill Duncan?
They were paid to betray their master. Malcolm and Donald Bain, the king's two sons, have run away and fled, which makes them the prime suspects.
Everything about this is unnatural. What a stupid ambition, causing a son to kill the father who supports him. Well then, it looks like Macbeth will become king.
He has already been named king and has left for Scone to be crowned.
Where is Duncan's body?
It was carried to Colmcille to be placed in the tomb of his ancestors, where their bones are kept safe.
Are you going to Scone?
No, cousin, I'm going to Fife.
Well, I'll go to Scone.
I hope things go well there. Goodbye, and let's hope things don't get worse.
Farewell, old man.
May God's blessings go with you and with all who turn bad into good and enemies into friends.
Now, you have everything, the crown, the Thane of Cawdor, the Thane of Glamis, just like how the weird woman promised you, and I fear you did foul play to win these titles. But if what they promise you comes true, then maybe the same thing can happen to me as well.
Here's our chief guest.
Let your highness command upon me, to which my duties are the most indissoluble tie forever knit.
Banquo then informs Macbeth that he will be riding till afternoon with his good son, Fleance, which gives Macbeth a window of opportunity for his master plan.
Fail not our feast. I wish your horses swift and sure of foot, and so I do commend you to their backs. Farewell. Let every man be master of his time, till 7 at night, to make society the sweeter welcome. I will keep to myself till supper time, while then, God be with you. Bring the men waiting outside the palace gates to me.
Yes, my lord.
My fear in Banquo sticks deep. Someone outside my family will take these blessings away from me, since no son of mine will take my place. If this is true, then I've tortured my conscience and murdered the gracious Duncan for Banquo's sons. I cannot let that happen. I will challenge fate to battle and fight to the death. Who's there? Get to the door and stay there until I call for you.
The servant then comes back with two murderers, to which Macbeth instructs them to kill Banquo and especially his son, convincing them by saying that Banquo is a common enemy.
Indeed, my lord.
We shall perform your every command.
Your spirit shines through you. Always remember that I must be free from suspicion. For the plan to work perfectly, you must kill Banquo and his son, Fleance, who keeps him company.
Yes, my lord.
It is concluded. Banquo, thy soul's flight, if it finds heaven, it must find it out tonight.
It is almost the hour of the banquet. The Macbeths prepare for the royal feast. Well, at least one of them tries to prepare. Macbeth himself was rather anxious about the whole ordeal. He tries to think of a way to tell his wife about his plan of murdering Banquo, but his worried thoughts seem stronger than ever.
How now, my lord? Why do you keep alone? With only your sad thoughts to keep you company? Those should have died when you killed those men. Things without all remedy should be without regard. What's done is done.
We have scorched the snake, not killed it. We will be threatened by its fangs once again. But the universe can fall apart, and even heaven and earth crumble before I'll eat my meals in fear and spend my nights tossing and turning, plagued with these nightmares.
Come now, my lord. Be bright and look agreeable for our guests tonight.
Oh, full of scorpions is my mind. Dear wife, you know that Banquo and his son Fleance still lives.
They cannot live forever.
That's comforting. They can be killed, yes, before the bat flies through the castle, and before the dung beetle makes his little humming noise to tell us it's nighttime. A dreadful deed will be done. It's better you don't know about it until after it's done, when you can applaud it.
Who are you? Who told you to join us?
Macbeth.
He needs not our mistrust, since he delivers the same orders.
Then stand with us. There's still a bit of daylight in the sky. Banquo's almost here.
Though an unexpected third murderer has appeared, the plan will most certainly carry out as hoped. The three murderers lie in wait, positioning themselves, preparing to strike. Finally, their patience was rewarded with a faint glow that seems to be coming from a torch. Sure enough, those were the targets they were looking for.
Prepare yourselves.
It will be rain tonight.
Then let the rain come out.
Oh, treachery! Fly, good Fleance! Fly, fly, fly! You may still get revenge someday. Oh, you bastard!
There's but one down. The sun has fled.
Well, let's away and say how much is done.
It is time for the royal banquet. Macbeth has invited the entire nobility of Scotland to dine with him under the very roof of his new castle as king. He invited many, along with Ross, Lennox, his other lords, and of course their attendants. A great amount of food was served, ranging from delicious wine to pastries so mouth-watering. Although unbeknownst to Scotland's nobility, there seems to be another guest who has just arrived in time for Macbeth to see him.
The table is full on both sides. I will sit here in the middle. Be free and happy. Soon we will toast around the table.
Then it is Banquo's.
Did you finish him?
The murderer then quickly tells him that Banquo has been dealt with, but Fleance was another story. Although Macbeth's orders was to kill Fleance most especially, he was satisfied that Banquo has been taken care of. That's at least one nightmare off his mind.
Thanks for that. There the grown serpent lies, while the young has fled. In time, he too will be poisonous and threatening. But for now, he has no fangs. Get out of here. Tomorrow, I shall speak to you once again. Now, good digestion wait on appetite, and health on both. Here we have the entire nobility of Scotland under one roof. If only Banquo was here. It seems that he is late.
Why don't you go sit with us and grace us with your royal company, sire?
The table's full.
Here's a seat reserved, sire.
Where? Which one of you did this? You cannot say I did it. Never shake those gory locks at me.
The ghost of Banquo haunts Macbeth, although it seems that only he could see him. To his fellow nobleman and wife, he was seen as delusional and crazy. Was this the work of the witches, or Macbeth's sins coming to haunt him? His wife, quick on her feet, tried to think of a cover-up story to convince her attendees that all is well. After all, a king should not behave like this in front of his loyal subjects.
Sit down, worthy friends. My husband is often like this, and he has been since he was a child. Please stay seated. This is just a brief fit. Oh, what nonsense! This is a very painting of your fear. Shame on you. When vision passes, you will see that you're merely staring at a stool.
Behold! Look over there. If the dead are going to return from their graves, then there is no point in burying our people.
Nonsense. Come now, my lord. Your noble friends will miss your company.
Go and get out of my sight. Stay in your grave. Come back to life again and challenge me to a duel in some deserted place. If I tremble then, you can call me a little girl. Get out of here. You horrible ghost. You hallucination. Get out.
I pray do not speak to him. Talk makes him crazy. Everybody, please leave right now. Do not bother exiting in the order of your rank, but please leave right away. A kind good night to all.
The royal banquet comes to a swift conclusion, all because of Macbeth's delusions. Though the ghost may have disappeared, Macbeth's troubled thoughts did not. Both parties are somnolent, but Macbeth chooses otherwise and decides to stay awake, merely rambling his thoughts to his wife. He takes a pause, talks about Macduff and all of his worries. The wife, now tired of listening, insisted they go to slumber instead.
You lack the season of all natures. Sleep. Please, my lord, go and have your rest.
All right. We shall sleep. My strange hallucinations must come from lack of experience. We are, after all, beginners when it comes to crime.
Why now, Hector, you look angrily.
Down by the heath, an angry woman arrives, yelling at her witches for she did not get to fill her part in Macbeth's fate. She, who feels left out, told her witches to meet her in the morning, by the pit, near the river in hell. There, Macbeth will come to learn more about his destiny. A useful piece of information, if the sisters wish to disarray Macbeth's destiny.
I'll put a droplet that's hanging from the corner of the moon. I'll catch it before it falls to the ground. When I work it over the magic spells, the drop will produce magical spirits that will trick Macbeth with illusions. He shall spurn faith, scorn death, and think he's above all wisdom and fear. And Jonah? Overconfidence is a mortal's greatest enemy.
Hot. I'm being cold. My little spirit is sitting on a foggy cloud waiting for me.
Come, let us hurry. She'll soon be back again.
Meanwhile, Lennox and another lord discuss the strange happenings in the kingdom. With Macbeth acting delusional, people are bound to question his actions one way or another. He cannot keep the peace forever, especially if he holds knowledge of the future. That alone could severely affect his fate and the fate of others after all. Though Lennox may be confused about a lot of things, he was most confused with the whereabouts of Macduff.
I hear that Macduff is out of favor with the king because he speaks his mind too plainly and because he failed to show up at Macbeth's feast. Can you tell me where he's hiding himself?
Duncan's son Malcolm, whose birthright and throne Macbeth has stolen, lives in the English court. Macduff traveled to ask King Edward for some aid. This report has so exasperated the king that he is now preparing for war.
And that might as well keep Macduff away from Scotland. Advise him to take caution, may he soon return to free our country, which is suffering under a tyrant.
I'll send my prayers with him.